How's it going, everybody? My name is Caleb, and I wanted to tell you a little bit about my journey with leukemia, specifically acute myeloid leukemia. My goal is to make several videos about this, really to encourage those people who are going through this, or maybe you have a loved one that's going through this as well. But just want to encourage you. My story is going to be a little out of order. Basically, because it was a year ago today, it was September 20th, 2019, that I walked into Moffitt Cancer Center for my 6-month leukemia checkup. Of course, I'd already been diagnosed with leukemia back in 2016. I was in remission. I'd been in remission for 2.5 years. And by this time, last September, I was feeling pretty good. I had a little congestion, but I was not feeling extremely sick. I'll admit I was also discouraged because after 2.5 years, I was still feeling a little bit anemic, and just didn't understand why. I didn't think it was supposed to be that way. So I had a long list of questions that I was going to ask the doctor, but I was also very confident that, like every other checkup I'd had post chemotherapy, that they would tell me that everything looks good and that I'm doing good. So that's what I expected. So I go to Moffitt that day. I get my blood drawn. I go in and I see the physician assistant that day. And she tells me that my white blood cell count was so low that it was concerning to them. And she thought that my leukemia had likely returned. I was very shocked by that news. I was very saddened and disappointed. But she told me that I would have to have another bone marrow biopsy to make sure. I had the option of making an appointment. This was a Friday. I had the option of making an appointment the following week to be put to sleep in order for them to dig into my hip bone. But I needed to know a lot sooner than that. So that Friday, they were gracious enough to give me some Ativan to take away some of the anxiety, and basically just there while I was awake on the operating table, they dug into my hip bone and they took a biopsy. So it takes about a business day to get the results of those. To get partial results, full results take about a week. But I would know some results by the following Monday. So that weekend was rough. I was waiting on pins and needles, constantly praying. I told some prayer partners, my family, some coworkers what I was going through and the news that I was waiting for. And so they all prayed for me. And Monday about 3 o'clock, I called Moffitt and left a message. I got a call back at 4:30 from the physician assistant. And she told me that my leukemia had returned. Of course, this is devastating news, and I first was there in my office. I went to my boss and just said, it's back, and I wept right there. And then I went and I drove home, and my wife and my children were playing outside, and I got out of the car and just went and hugged my wife, and I told her it's back. So we cried there in that moment, and because we knew what we'd been through in the past, and we didn't really want to go through that again. But here we were, knowing that this was going to have to happen. So I was pretty confident at that moment. I'd been through this before. I thought, and I could go through this again. So the following Wednesday, we had an appointment at Moffitt and talked to my hematologist there, and then went on to talk to the transplant doctor, the stem cell transplant doctor. And I'll be honest, it was a very discouraging visit. The first time I got leukemia, I was so sick, I did not know what was going on. I went into the hospital. I'm sure I forgot everything they told me. But this time I was very alert, very aware, as they told me all of the side effects of the chemotherapy, all of the risks of the transplant. And it was it was not great news. There was a lot that I was going to have to go through. There was a lot of risks that I was going to take, but this was absolutely my best chance at being cured from leukemia. So I went forward with it. That Friday, we went to the hospital together, and I was trying extremely hard to keep my spirits up. But as soon as we got into that hospital room, I just started weeping, sobbing really uncontrollably. I had moved to Florida just a year and a half before that, and I sat in the hospital thinking, God brought me here to Florida to die. And it was a very depressing time. That hospital stay, that chemo, that round where I was there for almost 4 weeks, physically, it wasn't that hard. It was much easier than the first time I'd gone through induction chemo. But emotionally, it was much harder because I knew that this was the second time I was going through this, that this was much more serious than the first time. And so basically I'm laying in the hospital bed thinking I'm about to die and just seeing my life just right there before me and asking so many questions. You know, has my life made a difference in this world? Have I been a positive influence on those around me? It really made me think of all the people that I had wronged in the past in all sorts of ways, and really made me repent of a lot of things that I'd done that I just forgot about. I mean, it was all just right there weighing on me, and God and I had some really good talks. Difficult talks. They weren't easy talks, but they were very valuable talks. And that just saying, what God do you want me to do different if you choose to bring me through this? How do you want me to live my life moving forward? And it was a hard thing that I pray that I never have to go through again, but it was a good thing. And so, like I said, I'm making this video. I think I said it. I'm making this video to be an encouragement for those people who might be going through the same thing. And I just want to say to you that there is another side to this. And I just want to encourage you to know that. I mean, here I am a year later. I'm feeling pretty good. And I'm still anemic. I've gone through the stem cell transplant. I'm anemic. I'm weak. I get cold all the time. But comparatively speaking, I'm feeling pretty good and enjoying life right now. So I want you to know there's another side to this. Here I am a year later, almost 4 years later from initial diagnosis, and I'm feeling good. If you get into that point where you're laying in the hospital bed and you're just wondering, what have I done with my life? And you start thinking about what happens after you die, I just want to encourage you to pray. If you're not the type of person who has done that in the past, praying is just talking to God. And if you don't know how to pray, just tell God, I don't know how to pray. Just say, God, reveal yourself to me in this moment. I'm so grateful He was there for me during that time. I'm so grateful knowing that Christ has paid the price for my sin. And yeah, all the sin, like it was being brought to mind during that time. But I had to rest in the grace that Jesus has shown me as He's paid the price on the cross for me, and he was raised back to life, and so these are the things that really keep me going, that really encourage me. So if you're going through something similar, I would like to know about it. I would love to be one to pray for you, so you can feel free to comment on this video. If you want to hear more about my story, as these dates of anniversary start coming up, I hope to record more videos. And if you want to see those videos, my wife tells me I've got to ask you to hit the subscribe button. So you can subscribe to those if you want to hear future videos. But anyway, I appreciate you watching, and I hope you have a great day.